And this is focus and feel. So here we go. Let's just go ahead and jump right in. And there's some things you need to know. I want to make sure that people not only know how to play this stuff, but you also know your theory behind it. The very first thing we do is we make sure we know our major scales. And the reason we learn our major scales is because as we're transposing, we need to know our notes, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. But we also need to know our numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So when I say, all right, we're going to start with the 1 of the C scale. We're going to do the flat third. That means the E flat. And then the 5th up there, right? So if I say slide from the minor third to the major third, that means the flat 3. If I say minor third, so the regular third, 1, 2, 3, or flat third, up to the 4th and 6th, and then the 5th note and the flat 7 of the scale. Well, 5th note of C is G and B flat. Now, for you guys knowing this in C, that's going to be pretty normal. You're used to that. But if I said, all right, I want the same theory in the key of D flat, well, let's go ahead and just talk through the D flat scale. Because our first keys, for today are C, C sharp, or D flat. We're going to use D flat and then D major. So in order to learn the D flat scale, I follow the pattern of a major scale. It's a whole step, a half step, and then whole step, whole step, whole step, a half step. Let's go over the notes of a D flat major scale. D flat, E flat, F, G flat, A flat, B flat, C, and D flat. Come back down. And then let's go over the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, or 1. Okay, so let's go ahead and practice this lick in the key of C. Well, let me do the last scale, D major. When you say D is 1, 2, 3, so D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D. Notice my fingering is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Make sure you can play your major scales, and I want you for right now to use this fingering just in the right hand only. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the reason this is important is because if I said, all right, let's transpose this lick into D major. Okay, the first thing I want you to be able to know is this is how we get a triad, right? The theory behind it. 1, 3, 5 of the major scale. So as you learn this major scale, you'll be able to go right to it. D major. And I know the theory behind it. You just don't have to search for the notes. You say, all right, 1, 3, 5 of a major scale. And also I have a flat third of D major, which is F, and I'm hammering on this key, which we'll get to in a little while. And then you go up to the 4th note and the 6th note of the scale, and then you go up to the 5, oops, I messed that up, the 5 and the flat 7 of the scale, okay? All right, now let's go ahead and work this first lick that you guys are already familiar with, key of C, and all we're doing is root 5th of a C major to root 6th, right? And in my right hand, I'm sliding from a flat third to a major third with my 5th on top, 5th note of the major scale. Let me do it very slowly. I'm going flat third to the major third, so it's a slide key, and I go right to the root. 1 and 2 and when I do F and A, with the C, that's actually an F chord in second inversion, right? I'm on this C and A, which goes nicely with the chord. And then when I go up to the G and B flat, I'm on C and G. So we have this. Now in my training videos I've been doing lately, and with my private students, I want to make sure that you're up into the keys a little bit, right? Everybody has a different hand, but the rules and the shapes are really important. See where my slide and my E, I'm up into the keys a little bit. And notice that I really don't have to move my hand much, right? I have this shape and everything fits nicely under the hand. So here we go. Now a couple other tips before we go on is that For people who are having trouble with a swing feel, 1 and then 2 and then 3 and then 4 and then 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, you can play it straight. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. I've seen so many people who have struggle with the triplet feel or the swing feel, but they straighten it out and then they get it. So okay, the next thing we're going to do is let's practice it in C just a little bit, and now I'm just demonstrating this idea of repetition, right? We're building confidence. So make this a focused part of your day. Let's say you're going to devote 20 to 30 minutes of your one day practice, right? Of just focusing on these 3 ideas for Monday. And right now I'm just going to spend time on C. Stay there. Now I can just do the part of the lick. Listen. Okay, another way that we played it, so we started out off the lick by sliding from the E flat to the E and G, but you can actually do what's called a pickup, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, so the end of 4, and then you get on to the lick and beat 1, so 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Good workout for the hands, right? Maybe I want to do it up here. All right, now we've worked on it in C major, and let's go ahead and learn it in D flat, okay? Now, as we transpose these licks throughout the weeks, it's going to get so much easier to do D flat and all the other keys. Now, when I first started learning piano, I would write out the notes forwards. Let me go back to C. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. I'd write out the whole major scale. Then I just had the idea of putting a comma after C, D, E, F. So I practice that C, D, E, F, comma, G, A, B, C. And I do it backwards, C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C. And the reason is I learned how to spell all my major scales forwards and backwards, because if I'm playing a line, I want to be able to know C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C. So let's go ahead and learn this for D flat. D flat, E flat, F, G flat, A flat, B flat, C, D flat. D flat, C, B flat, A flat, G flat, F, E flat, D flat. All right, so let's go ahead and build this triad. Is part of example 1, and here's the triad, the 1, 3, 5 of the D flat major scale, D flat, F, and A flat. And now we're going to hammer on from the minor third of D flat scale to the major third. Okay, so there's my triad, and notice that I'm up in the keys, very important. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Okay, so what's happening here is the 3rd and the 5th of the scale to the root, the 4th and the 6th note of the scale, which makes a triad in second inversion. And then we do the 5th and the flat 7th of a D flat major scale. So we have this. So the triad lines up with D flat and A flat. Make sure when you get to the D flat, G flat, and B flat, you're on D flat and B flat. It's okay if you need to do right hand only today. But once you learn how to start playing the major scale in D flat, and you get used to finding the triad, and that's a G flat in second inversion, and there's the root, fifth, and flat seventh. Once you get these shapes and this feel and these sounds on your fingers, it's going to make transposing all of the licks into different keys much easier, because you'll be able to say, okay, D flat, E flat, F, G flat, A flat, B flat, C, D flat, D flat, C, B flat, A flat, G flat, F, E flat, and D flat. And so you'll get used to being and playing in D flat, okay? So we just have to be patient. All right, let's do our last key of that for today. Is example 1. Is we have the D major scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. So our pattern for a major scale is whole step, F sharp, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, and half step. Our notes are D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D. And the way I like to do it is to break it up into groups of 4. D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D. D, C sharp, B, A, G, F sharp, E, D. Alright, so now I'm going to find that triad. I'm going to find the D major, which is 1, 3, 5, the major scale. Going to hammer on the minor third to the major third. And there we go, 2, 3, 5 to 1. Then I go up to the 4th and the 6th note of a D major scale. And then the last one is I go A and C, right? The 5th note and the flat 7 of a D major scale. Whenever I'm on the G major chord in second inversion, I'm at D and B. So we have this. Awesome, that's great practice right there. So we've already done 3 keys in just a short amount of time. What I do want to promise you is that it's going to get easier. We've talked a lot about spelling the major scales and even learning how to play the major scales. But I promise you it'll get easier. But this is important. I don't want you just to learn the shapes of how to get through all keys. I want you to know this stuff backwards and forwards, right? I want you to know the theory behind all this. Okay, so you're going to spend time today playing through C, trying to get through that. And you can play right hand only if you need to, but I want you to try to spend a little time on C and try to get up into the keys and try to find that D flat, F, A flat to the G flat. So we have this. And if you can do this, I would like for you to use the fingering that I'm doing. It's 2, 3, 2, 3, 1. I'm sorry, 2, 3, and 5, 1. Get used to hammering on that major third. Right, and then you'll spend time doing that, and then you have one other key, and we're going to hammer on that minor third to major third, so the F to F sharp. For my more experienced players, I don't want you to just skip this. I want you to spend time, all of you, just do this over and over at whatever your tempo is. Spend time on each one. And then you can make them your own, all kinds of variations you can do. Okay, so the last thing that we have to do today is the 3 keys for the diminished chord idea.